Two good things about the film. The director's cut is better than Superman 4, and Jerry Goldsmith saves a lot of this movie with his music. It took me a while to get through Supergirl because it's more complicated than the other films. There's 4 distinct versions of the movie depending on where you watched the film originally. The US theatrical release, which is complete crap. Of course, the more common version, the international one. While it's better than the US cut, you guys got about 20 more minutes, it's still lost material. There's also a few audio errors. And of course, the director's cut, restoring the full-length movie of 2 hours and 18 minutes. Sadly, they didn't do a proper restoration, so this version is stuck in standard definition. The US TV version, that's shorter than the theatrical version, but reinstates scenes from the international version and director's cut. This is actually the worst version of the movie, and the way I saw the film originally, it's still ingrained in my head because it was so chopped up. I didn't know who anyone was. I'm glad it doesn't exist anymore. No matter which version you watch though, the movie is not great. That stems from the heavy rewrites the script got, and it's still being affected by the whole Superman 3, let's go to the comedy land. But I will give it to them. They did their best at making Supergirl feel different than Superman, even down to the credits. I'm really happy they made a proper opening unlike 3. And Goldsmith's Supergirl theme was really good. But first, Argo City. There were a few changes done from the comic, but most of the original origin is here. I actually like the changes done in the film, mainly because do we have to have every Krypton-related place always die? Kara in the film is able to save Argo City from death, where in the comic they were killed off by the meteors. Of course, the Omegahedron was made up for the film in this case. Now, for the most part, the director's cut of the film is the best version to watch, with the exception of the full-length version of Argo City's intro. They constantly repeated a lot of the exposition on what things are, what characters want to do. Zoltar says he wants to leave Argo City 3 different times. This is the one area that the edited down version works better. It's also the first part of the bad rewrites to the script. Reeves was intended to be in the movie. He would have been Kara's mentor and been captured by Selina. But without Reeves coming back to play Superman, and I'm not going to blame him after the nonsense he went through in 3, they have no way to explain certain things. So we get this moment with Zoltar and Kara talking about Superman just to show they know him. This brings up 100 questions. So somehow, Argo City is able to peep on Clark on another world. You have this technology, but don't even try to talk to him or tell him his race is alive in a pocket universe. Nice work making these people look like assholes. There was a better way in handling this than info dumping, even without Reeve being on board. Zoltar is a good option to use as a narrator. He already is doing this with the exposition jumps. They just needed to spruce up the intro. Use some stock footage from Superman 1 with the destruction of Krypton. Zoltar can then break down how they survive. They could have filmed a small group of people first creating Argo City. Then the narration can continue over the footage of Kara wandering around. Him talking about his favorite student, how she loves the wonder of the universe, over the other bland Argo people. Zoltar can even then give some extra info about them trying to find survivors with the Omegahedron, showing us its great power being able to look around outer space for Kryptonian crystals. This is how I would show them watching Superman and Earth. I'd put this bit into the classroom instead of that boring equation. They do some tech talk about how the Omegahedron is receiving the images. When one of the kids asks, why can't we talk to Kal-El? I'd make it so that to send and receive communications, the city came with 2 power sources. Originally, these power sources were ways for talking between dimensions. Superman would need one to talk back. Then the narration ends on Zoltar saying he's tired of this boring life and wants to explore outer space again. There's some action with the reuse of the footage, gets everything we need to the audience. Zoltar is used a little bit more. The narration can also be him writing in a journal, a more personal moment since he's planning to leave. Maybe he's leaving this just in case if he dies. I did like the ideas they came up with. Kryptonians are still intelligent, kind of a hippie thing going on. It makes sense. They don't have that much space in this pocket dimension. It must be very difficult to expand compared to what we saw on Krypton. We only get to know a few characters, the big one being Kara Zor-El, cousin to Superman. Kara's more an aloof character rather than the more calmer, serious Superman, interested in how things work, the wonder of different worlds. You see her adventure side. The core of the character is there. Then we have Zoltar. He's an original character to the Supergirl movie. He's one of the teachers and a council member of the city. That's all we really know. Nothing else was expanded on. The rest is very small moments with Kara's mother and father and the Omega Hedron. I would assume it's a more condensed, powerful version of the crystal they use on Krypton. It's able to control matter and energy, be manipulated by a person's mind. So technically, the movie doesn't have real magic, but it basically acts as a form of magic, which is one of the few things that Superman and Supergirl have problems with. It's at least something new to the films. The whole plot revolves around Kara finding the lost Omega Hedron before Argo City loses power and dies. The premise is good, but that's it. So about them pesky bad guys, what do we got this time? We've been through Lex Luthor, General Zod, and Ross Webster. Do we get Brainiac? Satan Girl? Positive Man? No, we get Selina, and I don't mean Catwoman. It's not that she's an original character that makes her bad. It's just they screwed it when it came to these villains. Very bare bones, bland, and their biggest problem? Not really evil. Movies love to build up the tension between the hero and villain, so they will have them not meet until a certain point. That was the big thing in Superman 2. Clark was doing the whole thing with Lois. He took his powers away, and you're going, oh shit. But the villains still have to be villains. The Omega Hedron plops right into the hands of Selina, and what does she do? Argues with Nigel on who can wield the powers best. Her using this power source to brainwash a guy, followed by the slowest chase around a small town. Yeah, you showed the world who's the boss, Selina. It's not even about the campiness. The comedy wasn't annoying like Superman 3, but where are you going with these villains? I think the problem happened when they realized that Supergirl could scan for the Omega Hedron with her powers, so they had Selina not use it often. They even put in the whole lead line case for it. I'm glad they were thinking, but you created a device that could control energy and matter. Also, you gave Kara a bracelet to find the Omega Hedron. I'll go back to it in a second. I was thinking the movie was going to have Selina be smart and make the Omega Hedron change its properties to include lead. I mean, Superman's weakness is known, and the bracelet was their answer for Kara to find it, but the movie didn't do this. The bracelet worked whenever they felt like it. It detected the OH at random distances. When you got something like the Omega Hedron that can change virtually anything, you can get your plot to work. This is a rare time when they try to cover a potential issue right, they got it wrong. Now, about the bracelet and even Supergirl's costume, again, they were screwed not having Superman. How do you get the bracelet into the story? Oh, just have Zoltar put it on her for no reason. You thought he just made the bracelet for her, but conveniently it can track the OH. Now, about the Supergirl costume, the pod just makes it for no reason. The writers didn't care how the plot worked, so the people seeing your movie are not going to care about it either. It annoys me because they had options. Do what you did in Superman 2. They didn't want Marlon Brando in the second film, so they rewrote all the scenes of him out and replaced them with other people or Lara. Do the same thing here. They knew about Superman, so they obviously know Earth. Have it that the OH goes to Earth because they have an active signal to Earth in that classroom. It's drawn to anything Kryptonian. That also means Kara's pod. She doesn't get the suit or bracelet at the start. What happens is the OH exits out of the lake like in the film while Kara smashes through a crystal. Lights come on and she finds herself in the Fortress of Solitude. Another big problem with the movie is they have Superman leave Earth to another world. You just established new aliens and the ability for Superman to travel in space. Some sort of peace envoy for what? Did they attack Earth and he's going for a peaceful resolution, or is he leaving Earth to help out another planet? Again, a million questions. They could have done something much more similar. Kara stumbles around the fortress, confused, overwhelmed, thinking she found Krypton when Lara's hologram comes on, saying this is not Krypton, this is Earth. This gives a way for Kara to learn about Superman better, create the bracelets, and she's still thinking like her regular self. Lara explains you will gain powers that will help you, so she wants to be like her cousin. Of course, she wants to meet him, but Lara tells her that Superman is dealing with a massive natural disaster on the other side of the world. A huge earthquake devastated an area, and he's been there for over 2 days helping find survivors. So Kara's stubbornness and her care of life makes her do this on her own. It's a better way to work around Reeve not being here than making him go to an alien planet. You can still do the whole her figuring out powers, seeing Earth for the first time. The only other change I do is not give her the ability to create clothes out of nowhere. Please stop giving these characters new powers for no reason. So we get past all that. Why is the rest of the movie bad? Well, when you watch the director's cut, not much goes on when it comes to action. When they tested the film, it wasn't doing good with audiences. To try to fix this, they decided to speed up the movie as much as they could. This caused all the character development to basically vanish. Yeah, I agree that the movie's boring, but that's the fault of the action beats missing, and not the actual characters. Selina and Bianca could have been interesting if they went right into the magic, still showed that Selina can't fully control the OH, Bianca still be the one saying maybe you shouldn't do this, but she does what she wants. The story had good ideas, they had money problems, so show her robbing a bank, going out of control with the magic. We need a contrast between Selina and Kara, her fun, her love of life versus Selina kills and destroys. But no, we get a dinner party scene. You could have done this, like show Selina's lack of caring about people, destroying a bank, to suckering in people. Anything to build tension, but Superman 3 is leaking all over this script. So now the editor is going scorch earth on anything that was important to build character to speed up this junk. This is the stupid part of the TV version. They made this even worse. They go and trim down the fight scene with the two sleazeballs wanting to hurt Supergirl. So the first time we get to see Kara being Supergirl, it's over in 2 minutes. These edits badly affect Kara, Lucy, and Ethan, where they're all overshadowed by a stupid glowing ball. For a little bit of trivia, the guy who plays the creep in the light denim jacket is Matt Fewer. He goes on to voice the leader in the '96 Incredible Hulk cartoon. Plus, Lucy is reading a Hulk comic when we first meet her. If you're watching the director's version, Kara and Lucy are the most fleshed out of all the characters. They actually build a friendship up through the movie. It's not great because Lucy Lane was added to the script once Reeve left, so it was rushed. But they got something going. If you were watching the US TV version, Lucy just likes Linda after a day, even though she was annoyed when she was saddled with her. It gives you a chance to see Kara act weird around people. Lucy eventually trying to help her out, and they deal with their own problem at school with a bully who tries to do all kinds of crazy things, like burn everyone in the shower, even going far as shooting a ball at Lucy's face. But most of this was cut out of the TV version. I think the only thing that survived was the ball scene. Everything else was gone, so we didn't get to see much of Kara's secret identity side. And there's not much to talk about Lucy. Besides her being related to Lois Lane, the basics of the character are there. She's a bit of a handful to handle at her school, rebellious, but nice and fun to be around, and she has a thing for Jimmy Olsen. Speaking of which, at least we get to see someone from the Superman movies come in, but he got really nothing to do, especially if you're watching the US versions. Before we get to the dumbest action scene in the movie, first, I gotta talk about Mr. Plot Device, aka Ethan. He is basically the replacement to Superman being captured by Selina. That's the reason why she has this obsession to this random guy, where even Bianca points out how stupid it is. Not only do we get nothing of the character, besides he's hot for every woman who sees him, and that he's a landscaper, the movie makes him brainwashed into liking Kara, so we don't even see his real personality in most of the movie. We barely just know he's serious about his work. He has a strong will and won't be seduced by Selina, but that's it. And of course, the US version makes this worse because they go and cut out bits at the end showing the real Ethan. He gets some extra screen time with Lucy and Jimmy right before Supergirl gets back to Argo. We went from Lois Lane, great reporter for the Daily Planet, uncovers crazy stuff, breaks the biggest news story about Superman, puts it all together and figures out who he is, to Ethan, brainwashed dude running away from a 5-mile-per-hour digging machine. Who the hell came up with this action bit? No, before that, I have to ask, what was the point of hiding Supergirl? Yes, she has a mission, but how does the world knowing about her hurt this? Because of this choice, Jimmy has nothing to do in the movie. The character had a running joke where he was in the right places at the right time but didn't take photos. He finally gets a break at getting to be the first one to scoop Supergirl, and they go and keep her a secret. This screws Jimmy and messes up the action scene because she can't interact with anything. It was already bad enough that this machine was moving dirt slow. On top of the characters just letting Ethan wander around the street, you could have had Lucy call the police at minimum so they didn't look bad walking back in doing nothing. What was the big problem if Supergirl was seen? Jimmy would get some great photos, you can build on his character, still do all the rescuing you had to set up, but the crowd could have been involved more, cheering her on, and you can do the whole private moment with him falling in love with her. People knowing about her would not have hurt the plot in any way. Yeah, Superman would have found out he's not alone in the universe, and that would have been a positive. This is another aspect of the story that could have been done better. They had to deal with the whole Superman being captured bit in the story. Fine, Ethan can be used to fill in the spot, but instead of this landscape dude that everyone got the hots for, Selina is trying to expand using the powers of the OH, and she's able to possess a machine. Maybe the reason why this happened is her getting revenge on the people at her dinner party not joining her, so she wants to destroy their jobs. That's why she attacks that area. The machine she takes control of is Ethan's. He jumps in, tries to take control, gets knocked out. This way, we don't have Ethan bumbling around town, no one calling cops, and avoiding the big problem with the spell, because don't tell me he didn't get a look at any woman while he was wandering off. That's crap. Then the machine enters the street, starting to destroy a few buildings. Lucy, being her rash self, tries to gain control of the vehicle. The machine throws her off. She's injured, calls for help, alerting Kara. Supergirl's revealed to the world. Jimmy gets his scoop. Kara saves Ethan. He thanks her for saving her and wants to repay her somehow. This then starts the gears turning in Selina's head. I'll go after this guy to lure Supergirl into a trap. You have the real Ethan through the entire story. You can build on him. Maybe he was a former firefighter, but lost his job in an accident. Seeing Supergirl reminds him of his old work. She does a few more rescues while trying to locate the OH. We don't have to see the Daily Planet, but at least have a moment where Jimmy picks up a paper showing one of his photos. Then you can get a subplot going with Lucy and Jimmy, because the whole her liking him comes out of nowhere. It's just there, and they kiss at the end of the movie. Use the character that links the movies together more. Then you can move Ethan's capture into the lightning monster fight. This then removes Nigel from the movie. Let's be honest, he only exists because he was needed to break the spell on Ethan. He has no real other purpose to the story. He's either been thrown out of the story, him being a teacher at Linda's school has no purpose, he doesn't find her secret, and his wand moment is so pointless because Selina can use the wand herself. You don't need him. Why didn't the writers use this time to expand on Ethan or Jimmy? The only two real good moments Supergirl got was the final fight and the Phantom Zone. I almost like the invisible monster fight. It was the limitations of the time, but there were ways to work around this. Terminator was able to do a dozen stop motion shots for their ending, and they were working with the $6 million dirt low budget. Come on, guys. But the Phantom Zone was my favorite bit. We finally got to see what it was like. All we ever saw of it was from the doorway that flew in space. Although it doesn't fully line up with Superman 2's version, but I can give it a pass. Maybe using the OH probably controls the Phantom Zone doorways differently, or maybe Jor-El wanted Zod to really suffer and kept them trapped in the entrance, taunting them with a window to the outside. As for Zoltar's death, it was poignant. I just wish we got more time with him. That's the damn problem with this movie. Every time there was something starting to work, whoop, we gotta go and move on to the next plot point. Now, the final fight between Selina and Supergirl, it was alright. We got Selina actually using magic to do things, which she should have been doing since minute one. The only real stupid part was the horrible effects when Supergirl is being crushed by a monster. You guys really wanted to avoid stop motion, didn't you? There was a lot of possibilities with this film, even with Superman not being in it. I think if they gave the writers more time to look at the changes they did, they could have come up with something better within budget, but they were on the clock. Superman 3 was not received well. Reeves passed on the role really late, and they only had a year to get the movie out. So bad luck in all directions. And it was made worse when they chopped the hell out of the movie. Characters are the most important thing. Every single character from Supergirl to Ethan got no time in the US versions. That ultimately killed the film and franchise. You got two bombs in a row, and they should have quit while they were ahead.